Welcome to SMX West Day 2. We're absolutely delighted to have for our keynote conversation Susan Wojcicki from Google. She's the Senior Vice President of Advertising. Susan's a very interesting person because relatively low profile, you might say. San Jose Mercury Press, in fact, called her one of the most influential people at Google you've never heard of. Other people don't quite have that same point of view. Forbes magazine actually ranked her as one of the 50 most influential businesswomen, and I think it was number 16 or something this year. Her alma mater has actually named her as one of the most inspirational graduates of UCLA. But one of the things that is a little bit lesser known is that when the two guys from Google actually decided to move out of Stanford, move out of the dorms and create a headquarters, they went into Susan's garage. So I thought it would be appropriate to kind of do a brief overview of influential garages where big companies got started. So this is Susan, obviously. This is the HP garage, which is actually where this whole legend kind of got started. It's often called the birthplace of Silicon Valley. Not too far from your garage, actually, in Palo Alto. Yeah, I mean, fairly close. This is Steve Jobs' garage. This is where the first 50 Apple I computers were actually manufactured before Apple decided it needed to kind of grow into the biggest company in the universe, which it is today. Kind of interesting. A lot of people don't realize this, but Amazon.com was actually started in Jeff Bezos' garage. He got this idea about 4 years or so before Google kind of got started that he could actually use this thing called the internet to sell books. Kind of good idea, actually. Not all garages are high-tech. This is Walt Disney's garage. This is where Steamboat Willie was created and, of course, morphed into Mickey Mouse, and we kind of know that story. And interestingly enough, Steve Jobs' family is actually now the largest shareholder of Disney. So garages obviously are kind of a key thing. Thanks to the power of the internet, I mean, I know we're all here because we like the internet. This is something that we do. I was actually able to use Google to go search, and it was wonderful. I actually pulled up my garage when I lived about 3 blocks down the street from where Susan's garage was. You can actually do these things. It's really kind of a wonderful thing. And so, everything apart, here's Susan's garage. This is kind of what you were all waiting for, right? And here are a couple guys in Susan's garage working on something that kind of, turned into something interesting, right? So the question I have for you, Susan, is how the heck did you get these guys working in your garage in the first place? And then secondly, when you did that, did you have any sense at all of what it was going to grow into and what it was going to become?
Yeah, so my story starts, and how I wound up having them in my garage is because, as any of you who live in this area know, the homes in this area are very, very expensive. And I had just graduated from my MBA, and I had convinced my husband that we could buy a house and we could afford the mortgage if we rented part of our house out. Now I happen to know Sergey and Larry at the same time, and they were starting their company. And so we agreed that they could rent the house, provided that they did not walk in through the front door. They walked in through the garage door. And it was, I think at the time I really had no idea of what the company would become. There were a lot of search engines at the time. In fact, everyone kept saying, how come the world needs another search engine? But I certainly, the more I used the product, the more I realized how important it was. And I actually had this aha moment when it was, this was very early in Google's days when it was still the Stanford servers. And one day it went down and I couldn't actually access it. And I suddenly realized, I can't get my work done. This is so much better than anything else out there. this is going to be a really important service. And that was my aha moment where I said, you know, being able to provide great search, being able to look at all of this information is going to be the future. And that's when I decided to work there. So unfortunately, I did not work there when they were in my garage. And because that would have been a really good commute, you know, upstairs to downstairs. No, I actually worked at Intel at the time. And so after they moved out, after they moved to university, that's when I started working.